What's up, guys and gals? Welcome back to the next episode of our Nerd Castle Q&A, where you and I hang out for a little while. My favorite part of the week, where we get to chill for a little bit, enjoy a little drink. I got my beer right here. I gotta, like, do I get sued if I show the logo? I don't know. Either way, we're almost at the weekend. We're getting there. It is the end of the day for me, and what a day it has been. But I thought to myself, it's like the end of the week. I need to record the Q&A like right now. Otherwise, there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth, and most of it will take place in my bathroom as I just lay in the shower and cry, not providing you with entertainment. So, welcome back to Q&A. Today, we are going to answer some questions, and it is going to be super cool. I can promise you that. So, let's get started. Alex Hassan asks, Splat, I know you run because you talk about it on the channel, and I would like some advice on how to get rid of chest pains when running. Somebody told me to run for a minute, then walk for 30 seconds. That helps a lot, but is there a way to get rid of chest pains when I run? Now, I don't know if you're talking about like a burning sensation or if it like physically hurts. And so what I would honestly say, I've learned this throughout my like running career. I don't even know if you, I just use finger quotes. Yup, did it. Anyways, I don't know if you should, I don't know if you should consult me about this. This seems like one of those things where I used to give people like running advice and stuff like that, and then one day my mom, who's an RN, was like, you're not like a doctor or anything. You should probably be careful about that. And I was like, that's probably a pretty wise thing. And so anyways, I would recommend that you either see a physical trainer or you see a doctor first before you run. I'm not really so sure, but having chest pains when you run does not seem normal unless you've got like asthma or some kind of like respiratory thing going on. I'm not an expert. I have no medical expertise whatsoever. I can tell you how to run if everything else is going, my microphone. I can show you how to run like if everything else is going okay, but if you've got any sort of like pain or discomfort when you're running up in like your respiratory region, I would definitely consult with either like an advice nurse or like an RN or like a doctor or a physical trainer first before you get on any real like training regimen. That would just be my personal advice, simply because I don't know what medical issue you might be dealing with or if there even is one, but I want you to be safe if you're going to be out running and trying to make yourself a little bit healthier. Kaylee Lepretree, I don't know if that's how you say your name. I apologize if I did not pronounce that properly. Kaylee's got kind of a heavy question right now. She says, how do you stay motivated and keep on working? I can't seem to keep a job, and I have no motivation, but I have a son, and I work for him, but I'd like to take days off every week or two, but I can't with my current job. I work 7 days straight, and it's in the oil fields, and they don't care what you want. They just need you to work and be there every day, or they'll replace you. What job would you consider this fun and the pay is decent? Now, honestly, that's some major points right there. If you're working in the oil field, that's some rough work right there. I always talk about jobs that are tough. If you're out in the oil fields, that's some real work right there. And so my heart goes out to you. Honestly, if you're just looking to make a change, my recommendation, you never know like what jobs are out there until you start taking a look around. I would just hit up Craigslist. I would hit up like local listings and just keep an open mind. In my own family unit right here, my girlfriend got a job for a drayage company, which basically just like ships things around with regards to wine. They handle all of the shipping like in the Napa Valley and stuff like that. And she got that job just randomly looking around on Craigslist because she had a job that she really strongly disliked. And so I would say that while I can't like tell you exactly what you can do that's fun, because that's real subjective, it goes person to person, what I can say is just look around until you find a job. You know, keep doing what you're doing. Keep on hustling. Keep your nose to the grindstone for a little bit. Don't let it get you down. Everybody's got to work hard and everybody's got to make money, and you know, not everybody likes their job. But if you don't like your job, be proactive. So when you get a couple minutes, jump up on Craigslist, jump up on job listings on Monster, have a look around. You may feel like you don't have the qualifications or whatever, but if you see a job that legitimately looks cool and it seems like something you would want to get into, go for it, you know, send in a little resume, see what's going on, because honestly, it's weird the jobs you can land in, even if you have none of the qualifications for it, just because, you know, you work in an oil field. That takes like balls right there. Like, you got to be in there and out there working hard every single day. That's a tough job. See, people see that on a resume, and honestly, that'd raise my eyebrow if you didn't have qualifications. I'd be like, well, I know she's a worker. So anyways, that would just be my recommendation. As far as staying motivated, I just try to remind myself that, you know, it's gonna get better. Whenever I'm in one of those periods where I'm really just sort of like uphill grinding, feeling like I'm working for the weekend, working for whenever my next day is off, you know, working for this, that, or the other, things aren't working out, I really feel like connections aren't being made, I just try and think positive. That's all you really can do. I mean, honestly, even back when I was a roofer, which is real hard work, I get home some days and be so tired I couldn't keep my eyes open. I'd just be sad and depressed and just bummed out because it's a hard job. It pays well, but it's not a job that like you feel like you can do forever. It burns you out physically really, really quickly. And I can't really say aside from, you know, think happy thoughts. You've got your child. You've got things to look forward to. You just got to stay moving forward. Don't let it get you down and be proactive. Like I said, one of those things when you start looking around for new jobs and trying to say, like, change your situation, I think that, I don't know, every time I make a career change, I start to get like this big wind of positivity. Even if I'm working my old job, I'm like, yeah, man, I got things in the works. I'm going to go do something, you know. I'm going to be in this for a little while, but I'm going to be out soon. I just try and stay positive about it. Aside from that, I realize I'm not like a hugely inspiring person. I don't necessarily have like words of wisdom for most people, especially if they're in a really, really tough situation. But, you know, keep working. Look for new work. If you don't like what you're doing, try to find something fun to do that to you seems like an awesome job, and just focus on that, moving uphill and just, you know, keeping your head up. TechnoZan asks, Splat, are you political? And by that I just mean, are you political? Not what party you agree with. Okay, so I get what you're saying. You asked me if I like pay attention to politics and things like that. Indeed, I do. I tend to read around. I read on the Beeb every now and again, so the BBC. I read on Slate. I definitely float around on Reddit every now and again in between like 2 or 3 different subreddits, and also the main, the main world news Reddit. And I kind of pay attention to things here and there. I do have affiliations with certain political parties. Not gonna like air that right now, but I try to pay attention. I feel like being politically educated is a good thing, because if you're not, it's very, very easily to feel it's very easy to feel overwhelmed with things and be like, well, I don't understand it, so I'm just not going to bother. And I kind of force myself to like dig in and be like, why does this matter? Okay, so why does it matter that this guy said this to this guy? And I've been trying to make myself more politically educated, because I always feel like I don't have the mind for like geopolitics and things like that, but I would like to. And so yes, I am. I do read quite a bit in the news. Operation Moron asks, on your channel, your name, man, your name is killing me right now. On your channel, you mentioned in a funny way, not like in a head shake way, like in a, it makes me laugh when I see it. On your channel, you've mentioned that you've played CSGO and you stopped playing because you were bad. What rank were you when you quit? And did you have any good skins? This was actually before there was any of that, back when it was just like, you played the game and there was just like achievements. There was no real like ranks or unlocks or anything like that. I played way back in the day and I was terrible at it, like terrible with 5 like R's, terrible. Like you gotta drag it out, that's how bad I was. Really, really, really bad. Like essentially, I would walk out and other teammates would just hold me like a bullet shield because they knew I wasn't gonna kill anybody anyways. They'd just be like, stand in front of me, noob. Shield me, I might actually kill somebody, you have no hope. And so yeah, I played a long, long time ago though. I haven't played in a while. Muna Shah asks, why are you so handsome? So you hear that little fluffy floaty sound going through the air right now? That's the sound of a softball question, and that's why I picked it. Nah, it's I guess it's a family thing, right? It's biological. I don't know. I think I'm like maybe like a soft 5. Like depending on how I dress up, I can go either way. If I'm like hella bummy, I can go down to like a 2 or a 3. And then if I'm all spritzed out, I maybe on a good day hit like a 7. But anyways, I would assume it might be genetic. My dad is one of those dudes that's like ridiculously good looking. He was like, what? That can't happen. And then my mom was a looker in her day too, although because she's my mom, I'm always gonna say that she's beautiful. I love you, Ma. So there it is. That's the best I got for you right now. Rebounding Dice X Games asks, for your next Q&A, what did you do before YouTube? I actually did a bunch of stuff. So I was a roofer first. I started roofing with my dad about 2 days a week when I was about 13 or 14. And that's how I saved money for video games. My parents knew that I was passionate about PlayStation and video games and stuff like that, and they weren't going to pay for them. And so my dad said, you want to earn money to buy games and go do stuff? Well, get up on the roof with me. And actually, I think that's a very important thing while we're on this subject. I think every individual should do what their parents do for a little while so that they can figure out like how the bills get paid. So you can really appreciate like the blood, sweat, and tears that go into like your parents keeping a roof over your head or whatever. But after that, I worked at Blockbuster Video for 3 or 4 years with my best friend. After Blockbuster shut down, I worked at a Baker Square. Well, I worked at Blockbuster about 20 hours a week, 25 hours a week, and then I worked 20 hours, 25 hours a week at a place called Baker Square, where I was a busboy and a host, and then I was a waiter for a while. And that job totally sucked. That job was brutal. That was not a job that I enjoyed. Blockbuster was like, they paid you like $1 an hour, and it wasn't even really worth working there. Like, it wasn't worth the time that you were spending there. But all my friends worked there, and we would like hook video games up to all the little things on the screen, like the TVs and whatnot. We just sit there and play PlayStation all night because nobody ever checked and made sure that we were doing what we were supposed to be doing. Like, whatever. Every now and again, the regional would come through, and we'd be sitting there with like pizza in our mouths, like playing video games on the monitor up on the wall. We'd be like, oh no, she's here. We'd like bail over the desk and like hide the pizza inside the cabinet. And she'd be like, it smells like pizza in here. And then she'd open the cabinet, find the pizza. She'd be like, what is this? This should be in the break room. We'd be like, oh, I don't know how that got in there. Somebody must have left it from the morning shift. I don't know. And then after that, for a while, I worked at Geek Squad for 4 or 5 years. Worked there for a long time. And I became like a middle manager there until I left. And then I worked in IT and real estate for a while. There's this software called Point Software that they use apparently to give real estate loans or something like that. I never really dug into what it does. But mostly I would just hang out there. I had my own office with my buddy, and we would just sit there all day, and when stuff broke, we would fix it for this real estate office. And then after that, I was freelance IT, and so I started just like a local repair business here where I would run to people's houses and like fix their networks and fix their laptops and stuff like that. I always enjoyed fixing hardware way more than I liked fixing software. I could do both, but I was a big hardware guy back in the day. I really sincerely enjoyed like building, disassembling, and fixing people's computers, especially laptop disassemblies. Love like breaking down a laptop into like all of its millions of parts and just like messing with it. I love it. Call me dynamite. I'd take anything apart if you give me the opportunity. My parents hated it. So anyways, Florida's Tactical Fatty asks, good evening from the East Coast. Good evening to you as well. My question, if you could make a game with designers, programmers, and an all-professional work team and a AAA budget, what would you make? That's a tough one. I got a couple games that I would actually, most of them are limited to sort of like open world Skyrim, GTA type games. The first one that I would make is there have been like 0 games about Hawaiian culture, and so I would love to make a game about Hawaii before King Kamehameha like united all the islands, and it would take Hawaiian mysticism and lore into the whole thing, and you would just be a dude or like a girl who wanders. You could sail in between the islands on like one of the little trimarans or the pontoon boats or whatever the hell they're called. And then you would just like float around through all the creatures that exist, like the menehune and like the lizard spirits that live in like the rivers and lakes and whatnot would all exist. And it would be essentially the lore of the Hawaiian world would be real, and you would just wander around and kind of work on your combat skills and do quests and things like that, just like you would do in like Skyrim. The other setting I would like to see that in, while we're on the subject, is I would very much like to see a setting in the Middle East, actually, right around the time of the Crusades. Like, I don't know, around the time when Saladin was in control. I think it'd be very cool. It's unexplored. Like, I really like a whole lot of like the Islamic mysticism and stuff like that. I dug into it for a little while. Just fascinating stuff with, you know, Ifritis and things of that nature. I would love to see a free roaming game set in that time period, because some of the armor and weapons from that time period and that setting are so gorgeous and beautiful. It was a time where, you know, scientific thought was just thriving in that area, and it would be very interesting to see all the different ways you could work that into the setting with the mysticism, the science, and the combat at the same time. Be some very cool stuff. And so those are the two things that I would do right there. I don't really have a whole lot of other ideas other than that. I don't think about making games very much now that I'm in the business of sort of promoting them and also playing them on YouTube, I guess. But those would be the two thoughts that jump to mind instantaneously. I would also take a free roaming Shadowrun game. It's kind of like Grand Theft Auto. I would totally take that in a heartbeat. Xerox Alien asks, have you ever played Dungeon Siege? Indeed, I have. Dungeon Siege was a good one, and while it was a simple game where there wasn't a whole lot of like complication to it, I liked it very much. I love Dungeon Siege 2. Dungeon Siege 2 was the shit. That game, I love those limit breaks you could get that would just like blow up the whole screen and like kill everything. Oh, it was so awesome. Then they had all the item sets and whatnot. You had the bucket you could wear on your head that was like a legendary item. I love Dungeon Siege 2. But the first game, actually, there's a lot of memories in there. I love Dungeon Siege. I love Neverwinter Nights. I love Dungeon Siege 2. Baldur's Gate 1 and 2, Fallout 1 and 2. Those are the games that I played the hell out of EverQuest. Those are the games when I was in high school, late high school, that I just played the hell out of. I loved them dearly. Very dearly. Coco Man 11111. You have 5 1s in your name, so I guess I could call you Coco Man 5 if we're being arithmetic, or Coco Man 1 if we're being multiplicative. I suppose that works. Either way, he asks, Splat, where do babies come from? Indiscretion. That's pretty much it. Carlos A. Laramendi asks, can you give people some advice Carlos A. Laramendi asks, hey Splat, could you give some advice to people thinking about getting into the LP and or YouTube entertainment business? Do you think it's too late to make an impact, a lucrative one no matter how small? I sometimes think that everything is already done. You know, the thing about it is, for the first time in like entertainment history, you can go global instantaneously without the backing of a major producer or a major production company. And that's one of the reasons why so many people have found like mainstream success on YouTube. If you have a moderately entertaining personality, or if you have like a nice voice, or if you just like want to play games and share your enjoyment of games with people, I'd say give it a shot. My recommendation would be this, to be more specific to your question. My recommendation would be do it as a hobby. And so whatever job you're doing right now, whatever career you're trained in, whatever degree you have, keep doing your job. Just do it. And then when you get home at 5 o'clock like I used to, make a couple videos. Just make like 1 or 2 videos and then upload them slowly and develop your persona, develop, you know, your on-air presence, develop the ability to monologue properly, because practice does make perfect. I always tell people fake it till you make it. I saw that in a TED Talk and I do truly believe it. When I started on YouTube, I was not a YouTuber. I was pretending to be a YouTuber. I was fluffing myself up and just doing my best to be as entertaining as possible without really understanding what I was doing. And over time, you start to lock in on the various aspects of what works and what doesn't, what's funny and what's not funny, what's entertaining, what's not entertaining, what you can skip, what you can clip, what you can edit, and all that kind of stuff. And eventually, it will manifest itself. You will fake it until you make it, and eventually you will be a YouTuber, because the things that we want deep in our heart, we manifest those things. You know how when you tell a lie long enough, it becomes the truth? Exact same thing with fake it till you make it. Like, you will sit there, well, it doesn't physically become the truth, but mentally, you know how you just accept it? If you tell yourself you're a YouTuber long enough and you keep going at it as a hobby, eventually you will become a YouTuber. I would recommend you learn how the internet works, because most of the channels I see that have a lot of trouble being successful, they don't understand how Google works, and Google runs everything. You really need to figure out how to use search engines and things like that. There are things that YouTube likes and things that YouTube does not like when you put them in your description and in your tags and stuff like that. You need to learn those things. Otherwise, it's going to be very, very difficult to grow. But I really, truly do believe that anybody can find an audience, no matter. I was telling a friend last night who was thinking about getting into it. I mean, with 5,000 subscribers, you can make a reasonable amount of, like, you can make definite discretionary money every month. You can make 400, 500 bucks a month at a channel that size pretty easily if you're pulling, you know, the views that go along with having a channel that small, or that average in size, I guess. I would say anything between 5,000 and 500,000 is average in size. It's a pretty big, YouTube is like a haves and haves not type place. Like, it's weird. I used to think 5,000 was like the biggest channel ever before I started, and now look where I am, and it seems like it's kind of, I still think about it as like an average, moderately sized channel, actually. Yeah, if I was dividing them up, I'd say that anything between like 5,000 and 250,000 or so is a moderately sized channel, and then I'd say big channels start at like 500,000. But yeah, I mean, do it. Just do it. You know, just do it. I mean, that's all that I would say about it, is just like, get out there, make videos. It doesn't matter if you make money off of it, is the big thing. Just don't quit your job. I see people that do that all the time that are like, I'm quitting my job and I'm doing YouTube for a couple of years. And I'm like, might be a bad idea to cut Swiss cheese holes in your resume. I don't know. I would keep doing whatever you're doing. Just do your job, enjoy it, or if you don't enjoy it, just use your hobby to get you through the day, because I didn't really enjoy what I was doing when I first started YouTubing. I didn't really enjoy the classes I was in. I was going to school like 8 hours a day, which is like labs and everything else, and I was just burned out. But like that 2 hours in front of a microphone at the end of the day, that was my stuff right there. That was my shit, and it's what got me through my day. So I'd recommend start it as a hobby. Just do it every single day. Just put up one video, or every other day put up a video. Be consistent about it. And over time, watch how good you get at it. It will evolve. You will get better at editing or whatever it is. Come up with a concrete idea of what you want to do. If you want to do uncut LPs, do those and get good at them. Memorize the skills that make you good at uncut uncut LPs. If you wanted to do stuff like Dragass does, or you wanted to do stuff like the Game Grumps do, learn those skills that you need, like proper camera placement and things like that. Learn how to edit very, very cleanly and well. Learn how to do jump cuts. Learn how to isolate funny moments. Learn how to edit quickly while at the same time being efficient and making the best out of the footage that you have. Just dedicate to it, and that's all. Just come up with an idea and then do it as a hobby for a while every day after work, just for a little while, and see if you actually enjoy it. Because it would really suck if you like quit your job and go do something else for a while and you find that you really don't like YouTubing either. That would be kind of brutal. So anyways, just my advice for right now. I enjoy those kinds of questions. Clockwork Thistle asks, if a fan was ever in your area and wanted to meet up, would you be willing to do it? Maybe play a board game or two. I would do it inside of like a controlled environment. So for example, what I'm talking about right there is not that I'm like antisocial. I just don't want people showing up at like my front door and like taking pictures and crazy shit. What I would do though, what I would be okay with is like if I was going to a con or whatever, I'd be totally okay with going to like a meeting hall or whatever else, and we could sit down and we could play some RuneScape, we could sit down and play some Prophecy, we could sit down and play some Descent, whatever. That'd be super fun. I'd enjoy doing that with the Nerdcastle. I think that's the sort of thing. I keep looking at your name on my little list of questions as though you're there instead of looking at the camera, because I'm an idiot like that. Anyways, absolutely. I think playing board games sounds like a blast. I love board games. If I could ever find people to play Magic Realm with, I would just like, I would choke a camel to death. I don't know why I said that. Choking a camel to death does not seem like the right response to that stimuli. I'm gonna call my shrink after this video. Zombunny asks, this is maybe our last question, I don't know. My timer's looking pretty good. Can we see your girlfriend? Okay, so this is a question that I get a lot, like all the time. And so my lady friend has made a conscious decision not to appear on the channel, and I respect that. Her reasoning is actually something that I very much respect as well. She said that she doesn't really want to impinge on what I do here on YouTube. There's a lot of YouTubers out there that, like, the second they start messing around on the internet, they bring their girlfriends in, and it gets kind of crowded, and it changes the dynamic. She likes what I do, she supports what I do, but she's also private, and she kind of just wants to stay out of the limelight, and she wants me to do my job here, but she doesn't really want to be part of it and just kind of like keep her life private, you know what I mean? And so anyways, there's not much of a chance she's going to show up on the channel. Occasionally she pops into Twitch chat and she'll talk with all of you, but she's probably not going to show up on the channel, and that's her decision. I'm going to respect it. I got time for one more. Let's do a final question here. Red Menace asks, did you ever play RuneScape, and if so, did you like it? Now, I know people are like, doesn't he get a question every week? Yeah, he's always got the good ones, though. That's the problem, is he's always got questions that I see him and I'm like, oh, I want to answer that. I get all excited. I vibrate in my seat. Like, I want to do that one right there. Yeah, I did play RuneScape back in, like, 2002, 2003. Way back in the day. Like, before you could even, like, rotate cameras and stuff, when it was just sort of, like, locked in. Back when, like, Runic Plate was the stuff and there was, like, one dragon in the game. And I think that, like, I was, like, level 70-something. And that was, like, a really, really big deal back then. Like, people were like, wow, you're level 70? That took a long time. Well, yeah, you know, I played the game a lot. But me and all my friends played it back in, like, my high school days. It was pretty cool. I liked RuneScape. I don't remember why I stopped playing, because I had a lot of money and I had a lot of... That's probably why I quit, is because I had a lot of money, I had a lot of gear, and I think I hit the paywall because I was under 18, so I didn't have a credit card. And I think I hit the wall where there was, like, no more content for a free player. And so I think that's probably why I ended up quitting. But either way, the game's crazy now. They deleted my account. I checked on it. I went and tried to log back into it like a year or two ago, and it's gone. It doesn't exist anymore. Because I remember my login still. I 100% remember without a shadow of a doubt what my login was. But now it looks like they purged all the old accounts that hadn't logged in for a certain amount of time. So anyways, I played it with all of my friends, and it was fond memories. Fond memories of RuneScape, fighting with people in the wildies and all that fun stuff. Good stuff. I'll see y'all later. This is Q&A. That was our last question for the day. Thank you for stopping by and hanging out with me for a little bit. This is my favorite thing to film. Like, legitimately, I love filming this episode every single week, and that's why I'm so adamant about doing it. Even if it's like 2 in the morning, I'm like, I need to get this done before it's a Friday. It's at this point, at the end of the video, where I always give you a shout out and be like, if you want to support the channel. So first and foremost, if you want to get your question answered, ask it down below. Even if you've asked it before, believe me, I've seen a couple of them that have been posted 2 or 3 times. I'm trying to get to everybody. I only have time for like 15 questions at a go, and on your average episode of Q&A, I get between 200 and 400 questions, so I'm doing my best. I will try to get to everybody. If I see it being asked every single week, I'm going to try and get people. It's not because I'm ignoring you. Believe me, I do go through and I read every single one of them, and then I kind of just control and copy them all, or control and paste them all over. I almost said Control-C, Control-V. There, I could finish my sentence. I believe in myself right now. Thank you for stopping on by. If you want to support the channel, check out the Patreon. It's down below. It essentially allows you to just, like, donate and support the channel every single month. Artists use it. I put one up. I didn't used to promote it very much, but I've become aware of the fact that, like, nobody knows about it. And so at the end of these little video logs, I always like to shout it out. Other than that, I will see you all later. Thank you for coming on by to the Q&A. I will see you next week on Friday. Bye, everybody.